well, I think it's 6:30. Are we live yet? Check.
They're not set up. Did you send anything to them?
No.
Oh.
He
Well,
said we have a
that
hard
thing
stop.
Yeah,
is
it's like,
supposed
yeah.
to start automatically.
Oh, there's no red light on, I don't know.
I
if
mean,
it's
he
started
usually
or not.
texts me when we're on, but I'm
Okay.
gonna double check too. No, he said we're set.
Oh, okay, I
And
didn't know.
We have a hard stop at 7:30.
What's going on?
Oh, we're living.
All right, we're live. Oh, we've been live.
Uh-oh.
We're not live.
What'd you just say?
All right, well, let's officially start this meeting, gang.
There we go.
So we are starting the meeting at
Are we live?
Yeah, we are live.
6:30 on the dot. And we'll start with open forum. We don't have any public attendees, and we do not have any emails or such to share statements or comments or concerns, so I will
I'd like-
officially.
I'd like to at least make
You
a
have
public
one?
comment, yes.
Okay, sure.
And
So-
it's, yep, go ahead.
Do you mind just stating who you are? We all know who you are, but just for the general public. if you
Alderman
please.
Scott Lennon, just wanted to bring up, I see we have the creation of cost share program for water service line replacement. And I know several years ago, several of us met with Congressman Chuy Garcia in this same room, and one of the discussions was replacement water lines and how municipalities are challenged and really need federal assistance for programs like this. Now, it's been several years since any of us have had a conversation with the congressman, but I did mention it to him several weeks ago at the turkey kind of giveaway on Cermak Road, once again, and I think that we should try to, even collectively, either elected officials or somebody within the city government, we reach out to our congressman to see if there's any programs that the federal government can help us assist with this. I'm not saying that this program's, taking out the water fund is the bad idea, but there might be some federal assistance that we could get, and I'd rather look that route to see if we can do that, so just wanted to bring that up.
Okay, great,
Okay.
thank you, appreciate that. So, now officially no other public attendees or statements. We are gonna close our forum at 6:32 and move into introductions, if you don't mind. I know we all know each other really well, but for the audience here, Alderman Ruiz, 6th Ward Alderman, Chair of Public Works Committee.
Bob Schiller, Public Works Director.
Bob Fate, 4th Ward Alderman.
Nicole Campbell, senior engineer.
And once again, Alderman Scott Lennon, First Ward.
All right, okay, moving to our first agenda item is actually the cost sharing program for waterline service. I know that this was brought forward to the committee by Alderman Santoy, who has not yet arrived, but Bob, if you have something you'd like to share on it,
Well-
please take the lead.
As I said before, and I've told Alderman Santoy, we've been working on putting together, this is a, she's got one. She had to print it because my printer wouldn't work. And this is something based off the flood mitigation program that we currently have. But it's a draft, it's a rough draft, it's a starting point. And I think this is something that, it's good for our residents, but as Alderman Lennon has brought up, this is something that, if we're gonna try and assist our residents, I think we need to reach out to every avenue possible before we implement anything and come up with the best overall and complete program before we roll this out. I don't wanna rush into anything, I don't wanna try and speed this into anything and then be forever changing it, because then once we implement, well, I didn't get that, I only got this, and stuff like that. We should make sure that we get everything done the way we need to get it done. Make sure we address every avenue, whether it be the state, the feds, whoever, to try and maximize our resources to be able to do this. You know, Elgin has a program that they do. They do a no-interest loan. But again, you know, their program's a little bit different. So, you know, you've got you get a 5-year, maximum 5-year, no-interest loan, through the city of Elgin. But, you know, you then end up dealing with, you've got the cost of the water service, all of the permit fees, they charge for all of their permit fees. They also would charge to lien the property, cause you take out a loan on there, you can't, 2 years from now, all of a sudden go belly up and, you know, the loan becomes default. So, you know, they lien the property and things like that, so there's, you know, pluses and minuses to doing that kind of a thing as well. But, like I said, I think we need to look long and hard at what our options are, and we can use this as a beginning baseline, but going towards a final product that's gonna be the best for our residents.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, I would just like to add that, first of all, we've been talking about this for a year, because I remember when you brought this item to our council meeting a year ago, November, to do a cost share initiative with the health department, and that didn't
I
transpire.
got no buy-in at all.
That didn't transpire. I'm not sure what the reasons are why they felt it wasn't a good initiative. But I agree also with Alderman Lennon that we do need to do our research, we do need to do our diligence, and we need to find additional funding, because any way that we can reduce the cost for our residents, reduce the overhead for our city is obviously a win-win situation. So if these are conversations that we have not had yet, or that we need to revisit, I would really like to see us put some due diligence in that and make that occur. Additionally, I think you really hit the nail on the head, Bob, that we need to find a program that is more conducive for us as a city and us as for our residents, and maybe do some comparisons with other communities and what they're doing and how this can work, unless you feel this final draft that you're giving us here.
No, this is a beginning draft,
Okay.
not a final. By
Okay.
no stretch is this a final.
Okay.
Now, is this something you put together, Bob, or you guys
Nicole,
have that whole
myself,
figured
you know, we put it's based off the flood mitt program.
yet? Okay,
So it's a beginning stages of a program based off the parameters set forth in the flood mitigation program, where residents get 50% of a approved backflow prevention device up to a total of $3,500. Right here in our first draft, I've got a number of 1,500 in there, because I already waived the permit fees, waive the tap fee, and repair the road for them.
that's all included in this program that you.
That's what I do now.
Okay, you do
I
now.
already have that program in place as of right now. So we have a little something going forward for owner-occupied 3 units or less.
But Bob, how is that currently funded, and how does that budget become jeopardized? Because let's just say we roll this out, and then we have a huge influx of residents that wanna take advantage of this. What does that do for the budget then, and the amount that you have allocated now, and how quickly would we go through that with any increase?
Well, the flood mitigation program was originally set up through it was tagged on to one of our bonds that we did several years ago. I think we started with $1 million, and I think we added a half to it at one point.
Yeah, it was $1 million, you're correct. Yes.
So that's a finite number that's in a bucket.
Okay.
Typically, we get what is it, about $175,000 a year in takers. We get a lot of people that fill out the applications and stuff. But when it comes time to being able to fund the project, because this is a reimbursement grant. This is nothing we give anybody ahead of time. So they have to go through the steps, they have to get a contractor, they have to get that contractor approved, they have to meet certain criteria before they can even get that far. Once they get that, then they have to hire the contractor, they get the work done, they pay the contractor, they submit a copy of a paid-in-full receipt, and then that gets gone through the system and approved, and once final inspections are done and everything, then the city cuts a check for 50% of the cost of the project up to $3,500. If we do this, right now what Alderman Santoy has suggested is that we use that same bucket of money and add this to it. So that then becomes, even if I use the $175,000 a year, even if I use that number as times 2, well, simple math is you're gonna drain that pool twice as fast. So, we need to, that's why I say we need to find as many additional funding sources to be able to get this moving and keep it moving year after year. We're gonna move some money and put a portion from the utilities budget at some point, once we get, we get the depot started, we get all this stuff going. As we go, we look and see where our delinquent collections go. When we get some of that money in, we may be able to augment that bucket with some additional funds. But I'm concerned that if we just arbitrarily go in and go, all right, we're gonna throw this right in there, do this, and we're gonna give away the same $3,500 we're giving away there, that actually turns out to be about $5,500 by the time my labor and the fees that the city does not collect is built into that. You're gonna go through your money really quickly. Then the people who wish to partake in the sewer flood mitigation program, which the money was originally earmarked for, are no longer eligible because there's no funds.
Right, and when the flood mitigation program was set up and we, established the waiting list, we had a number that if every resident that applied for the program took the full $3,500, that's where we would cut off. It was like 360 some odd residents. So we take people and we do monitor, how much we're spending, and we watch where our numbers are. And we would have to do the same with this program as well. Put people on a waiting list, give them the chance to, rectify their outstanding issues and find their contractors before proceeding and accepting more people onto a waiting list.
Do we currently have a waiting list
Yeah.
for the, and
Oh,
how
yeah.
long
Oh,
is that
yeah.
waiting list? Is it a year, 2 years?
Nope,
Uh,
nope, go
It's
ahead.
based on, how quickly the residents move forward with the project.
Okay.
So we take the waiting list, it's called a waiting list application.
Okay.
We take that, we do the debt checks, turn that around in a week, and then the resident is given the final okay to move forward with the project. So if, they're comfortable with the estimates they receive from contractors and they're ready to go, or if they wanna get more estimates, it's all at their pace at that point.
The term waiting list was used when the program was created,
And it was like whoa.
but it's
Yeah.
one of those things that, yeah, we had like 500 people sign up like within the first month. But when you start going through the process and you determine that you need to spend $6,000-7,000 and you need to get reimbursed on it, all of a sudden that number dwindles dramatically. So the so-called waiting list is basically just a sign-up that gives you the ability to continue to move forward at your own pace. So there is no true I sign up and then I have to wait for the city to say go, that's less than a month.
And then the debt check, is that to ensure that they don't have fees or fines that they owe to the city?
Part of the criteria for qualifying for the loan is you must not owe the city any money in, past due water, past due sewer garbage, blight fines, parking tickets, what am I missing?
I think you got them all.
And you have to live on the
Yeah,
property,
owner
it's not,
occupied.
it's not for landlords,
Okay.
it's not for commercials, it's for our residents to be able to do that.
Well, it sounds like we have a lot of groundwork before we can actually launch this. Bob, any questions, any
No, and
comments?
this is, I'd say 6 months to a year away, I mean, before anything gets implemented here. And how much is left in that bucket fund now for this, we probably went through $500,000 already, right?
Oh, no, we're through more than that.
We're about 800.
800,000 into it already, so yeah,
Yeah,
so.
so we're
So
yeah,
we
we're
need,
only
we need
about,
some additional planning here, we need some help, so, yeah, this isn't going anywhere quickly, but at least we can get started on something,
right.
so.
And then, you know, the health district, when their department, when they chose not to participate, that kinda threw a wrench in the
Little
works
wrench in
there.
it, yeah.
Because, I was anticipating not a 50% contribution, but maybe, you know, 30% in addition to what the city was gonna put in. If we were gonna put in, you know, 1,500, get, you know, 750 to 1,000 out of them to contribute towards this, and now we're starting to get that snowball rolling down the hill. But, you know, depending on what, you know, what the circumstances are over there for them to do that kind of contribution or that kind of commitment, I don't know yet.
So this doesn't replenish or grow annually, we just have that 1 million earmarked funds that have not been completely
That's correct.
utilized, okay?
That is correct.
So, I mean, this would definitely, truly,
It's like pulling the plug in a sink.
exactly. Well, Bob, what kind of steps and timelines would you like to put on this and have us revisit, or what would you like the committee to help you with?
Well,
To
what
move
I
this
need
forward.
is, I need somebody to make those contacts, reach out to these people, whether it be aldermanically, whether it be through your minutes, you know, formally ask the mayor to reach out. However, you know, we do that. That's not a place that I go.
Okay,
I don't have any contacts, any, you know, communication with the, you know, state and federal elected officials. So, you know,
Okay.
that would be the first thing to do, is reach out there.
okay. So what I'll do is I'll send a communications to the council at our next meeting and just say that we've discussed this and we're looking to explore for funding, long-term funding. And, see if either some of the aldermen wanna become part of that group, or leave it up to the mayor to decide to reach out to his contacts, or maybe a collaborative team can do that. And then we'll make that the first next step.
Very good.
Okay, all right, great,
Okay.
thanks. Did you wanna say something, Bob? I'm
No,
sorry.
no, we're
Okay,
good.
all right. Finalization of the 21st and East Avenue intersection, just wanna recap on that, briefly. We held our Zoom with, 6th Ward, residents that are in close proximity to 21st and East, and discussed, the different, research data that we reviewed and discussed at the last parking meeting. And Bob also, shared some information on the best remedy to remediate this issue, and that was to extend the yellow lines from 30 feet, I believe, to 100 feet, is that correct?
I suggested 100. Through conversations with the residents, they asked to reduce to 75, which still gives about a 2-second reaction time from where the cars end, from the sight lines, from that intersection, which at that speed should be okay. We can see where it goes.
Okay, and you're comfortable with that? You don't wanna just move with the 100?
I'm okay going to 75.
Okay. So I will do my part, and that is to still get the petition signed and bring that in. And then what was the timelines that we're looking for once we,
Once the weather is such that there's no frost in the ground and, ground temperature's 50 degrees, then, I can apply the paint, otherwise it'll never dry.
okay. You don't want me to hold a blow dryer there and kind of?
No, we're not gonna get a,
Okay, just checking. Offering my services.
I appreciate that.
All right, okay, that's that. Last one is handicap parking costs and special circumstances. You may all recall or may not recall, but over a year ago, we had discussed and agreed, voted and unanimously voted that we would implement handicap parking costs that have not existed historically in our city. And the city has always provided these signs and the labor at no cost to residents. And I think that that's been a very generous gesture. Unfortunately, we can't continue to man that. So we had discussed it with hopes also because of some of the taking advantage situations that are blatantly clear with some of the handicap applications, that if there was some investment from the residents, it may deter them from requesting handicap, which is sometimes viewed as a luxury item and an entitled parking space. So we had Clerk Marge Paul was in that meeting and had agreed to send the communications to City Council for a vote on the floor, and that has not transpired. So I would like to just advise you all that I will be doing that for our next committee council meeting, the first of the year, unless we all at this time, and unfortunately Alderman Santoy is not here, unless we feel that it's not a good time to move forward with that, I'd like to place that communication on the floor for approval so that it can be implemented by next October when the new
The next renewal round, yeah.
renewals take place in October.
I don't think those numbers were too bad, right, what we did, I mean.
No, I believe what we were charging was $75 for the installation. No, $50.
Wait,
I apologize, $50
Well, here we go,
for the
here we go.
installation.
Nicole's got
I
it.
have 20 for, the application, which is non-refundable, 55 to install upon approval, 75 to reinstall, 25 for renewal, starting 10/20 for the 2021 renewals.
Okay.
Does that sound
You're
correct?
right,
That
that
is-
did happen.
And after last meeting, I wanna add a column in that one.
Yes, yes, but I wanna get that, are we still in agreement that we'd like to move forward with that?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
that would give us time to update ordinances and applications and all the paperwork associated.
Yeah.
So we did already vote on this, but of course with this COVID this year, nothing took place and,
Correct,
which is fine, so we could just maybe amend that to 10/21
correct.
to give them enough time to get things started. Cause we're still at what, $10?
Yeah.
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 Since forever, for now,
Mhm.
yeah.
So $25 isn't gonna be a killer, I don't think, but.
And then, do we wanna make this, a fee that would be for all new applications, or we would just start this new fee scale starting October of 2021? So for new applications,
That's,
with this fee structure,
I know,
for
that's
new
what I had in
applications?
the notes, it was 10/20 for,
To start all the fees.
so then I knew it would be for 2022.
For the
But you're
renewals.
saying if somebody walks in now next month and says, hey, I want a handicap sign,
so
you're
if,
saying, do we
yeah.
implement a new cost now?
correct, so if we.
I don't think we can do that until we actually put these numbers in.
No, I'm just saying, so
Yeah.
if, once we put it on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and if it moves forward and gets approved,
Any new sign, maybe
Any new
that
signs,
could be
right.
amended in there.
And
Well-
then, how long does it take to do an ordinance and get that done?
oh, that's the
Couple
other
weeks
thing.
maybe,
Yeah,
right?
Not long.
Okay.
probably a month.
Well, maybe we
How
could-
long does it take to get distributed to the powers that be? So if we said after March 1st,
New applicants?
new applicants after March 1 would then qualify
For these
for the
fees.
new rates,
And the
and
old
the renewals
Existing
will
10/20.
start for
10/21.
the renewals for the
October of
2022
21.
year.
Right.
Okay.
I like that.
We could do
Gives
that.
everyone's time to get it.
We
all-
could do that, get the ball rolling a little bit.
That way nobody's being, it's not crammed down anybody's throat and anything like that, and it's out there, and we've made sure that everyone is aware of it, they've had time to communicate it.
Right.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
You good with that? Is that something you could add to your communication?
I will.
Okay.
I will add that
Okay.
to the communication.
And the only thing I wish to add onto that list of fees
Uh-oh.
Is special
is
circumstances.
the special circumstance. This thing that happened last week, or last meeting, with someone feeling they're entitled to a temporary handicap sign that we have to install, put up, go through all the Julie, cost me $30 for Julie, it cost me an hour plus of labor to put it in, it cost me to post the signs, they're up for 6 months, then I have to dispatch labor again to go out and pull these things back out because they have pneumonia.
Well, we would have to revise our entire ordinance, cause it clearly states permanent disabilities.
Yeah, well,
All
that's what I
throughout.
mean, when you and I talked last meeting, it's in there that temporary things, if you break your leg, you're not entitled to handicap signs.
And the Illinois Vehicle Code reads that the temporary, decals are good for 90 days.
So,
So is that correct?
can you repeat the first line about,
Our city ordinance?
yeah,
The reservation of on-street parking spaces for persons with permanent disabilities.
It's only a permanent disability.
and so pneumonia doesn't count, correct?
Correct.
It's not
But
permanent.
it was, the application was approved.
By,
So, first of all, that was one of mine.
oh,
Okay, so it was an application I received for a handicap sign in my ward. When I reviewed the application, the person has pneumonia. And so I had a discussion, a very detailed discussion with the clerk's office, asking about that because I felt it was not a long-term illness, and why was this approved? Now, I'm not a doctor, so I don't wanna say that pneumonia is or isn't critical, but I was very skeptical about dedicating a space for what I consider, a temporary illness.
And there
So
is-
it was suggested that we do a temporary sign for an X amount of time, and then have the individual come back to renew it after 6 months. Which I was okay with, because that made more sense to me than dedicating a space long-term for a temporary situation.
Yeah.
And, I mean, everyone knows, I know I'm a broken record, but the 6th ward is extremely dense, so every parking space is
Valuable.
counted for
Yeah.
3 times over.
Mhm. And, there are provisions in the Americans with Disabilities Act and the IDC for, these temporary, 90-day temporary, handicap tags. But that does not give you an entitlement to a space on the street. It gives you the ability to, while you have a broken leg, that you go to the store, that you can park up front to hobble on in to go and get what you need to get and things like that. It's not to be considered the same as a permanent disability, and that's, I think, where the hiccup is.
Right.
So Nicole, are you suggesting we revise our ordinance, or?
If we're gonna do these temporary things, we have to, otherwise, the answer is no, because our ordinance states that it has to be a permanent disability.
yeah, and
I'm for Plan B personally, but if we're gonna do Plan A, there's gotta be a fee involved to recoup the cost.
Okay, so then, was that application, could we consider that a hiccup?
I think so. I don't think we've seen many over the years, have we?
I mean,
No,
I have not, in
it
the
was
3 years
my-
I have not.
it was my understanding we did not accept temporary.
Because it says right
Yeah.
there, permanent disability.
If someone walked in with a temporary placard, it wasn't,
It shouldn't have been even
Yeah.
accepted.
I don't know if the placard was temporary, but to me, the illness was, it was very clear the illness was stated as pneumonia.
okay.
So I'm like, pneumonia's not a permanent illness.
Right.
So I'm not sure why this was approved, and that was part of my conversations with the clerk's
We can just
office.
see if we have other hiccups, but over the years, Bob, I've never seen any.
No,
That was the first for me, I've never had
I-
anything like that come
Right,
before me.
Nicole?
No, it was my understanding we did not accept temporary.
That's why when I heard it, it was like, oh, wait a
Maybe
minute.
let's just roll with the program we got and see what happens, you know.
I mean, I'm fine with those rules,
Mhm.
I don't feel like, I would not wanna go with Plan A unless we saw more occurrences and needs for it, but it doesn't seem to be a regular or routine request.
Occurrence.
Yeah, and then how would you stay on top of the temporary decal expiring every 90 days?
Correct.
How would that work?
Nobody's got time for that.
Yeah, nobody, we don't have enough people,
And that's
or
per the
there's
law.
not enough time in the day
Yeah.
Okay.
to be able to track
Well,
that.
let's just screen these, no, at the, where's that start, at the clerk's office and?
Yeah,
Or no.
maybe, it's also in the minutes, we tag that, what's the section number? So that she can add,
484.05?
she can add it to her minutes. that-
484.05?
Yeah,
Okay,
so that can get added in there so that it's documented that this is the exact location where it says it must be a permanent disability.
Ability, yeah.
okay.
Very
And
good.
then, yeah, so now we'll, definitely let I mean, I don't know I know there's several different
Mhm.
phases and stages of the application, so I don't know if that's a communication that needs to go to everyone to remind them that applications
No,
like this.
it's where the applications come in, it would be the clerk's
So
office.
the final destination?
Yep, the
Okay.
beginning destination, where they
Oh.
start that application is the clerk's office. That's where it
So
needs to
it should have
be.
been pulled before
Right,
it went
it
through the
should have
process?
it should have never been forwarded to the police for a review, or engineering for a review, or any of that. It should have said, nope, that doesn't qualify for a on-street handicap parking space, because it's a temporary disability.
Okay,
However, the temporary decals, they can be used in public parking spaces, that's,
Right.
that's fine and all. It's just the on-street
Not getting a sign,
reservation.
right.
Right.
and I'm not sure if it was a temporary, so, I mean, I
Okay.
just know that I saw that illness, and to me, that was not a long-term illness, so that's why I
Okay.
questioned it. I didn't really scrutinize the placard or anything else like that, so I'll just keep that in my mind for
Okay.
next, if it should come up again.
Right.
But I'll definitely talk with the clerk's office about it, and then I'll put this in our minutes.
Yeah, I mean, technically, it wouldn't renew because it would be past 90 days, and.
They may have the ability to go back to the doctor and get another
Oh,
or
okay.
something.
I don't know how that works.
I don't either,
Yeah,
that's,
no
that's,
I have a feeling it was not a temporary pocket, though. I think that's why I was so, confused by it and questioned it. But I'll double check, I'll
Okay.
look at it, I'll discuss
Very
it
good.
again with clerk's office, and I'll make sure that it gets in our minutes and that our aldermen know for future references,
Okay.
in case something should slide like
Yeah.
this again in the next 50 years. All right, well, that pretty much covers our agenda for today. Anything else that we need to discuss or talk about next
I
time?
think we're good, if you just get these couple items on the floor, I think
Yeah,
we'll be
for the
good.
next, council meeting.
Sure, next one, whatever.
Okay, and then, I guess that's it then, so I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
did you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay.
All right. Meeting is adjourned at 7:03. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Yeah, that's it, take care right now. Oh, we have some tough bombs. See what it tells me that we're done. Still going. That's so weird the way it's going like that. She's going in my big mouth. He said, okay, let's make sure we're done.
Well, that pretty much covers our agenda for today. Anything else that we need to discuss or
Yeah, it's on delay, so.
talk about next time?
We're good, if you just get these couple items on the floor.
Yeah, for the next,
Oh, two comments,
the
what are
next,
the comments?
council meeting. Sure.
Two comments, two shares.
And then,
What
I
is
guess
that?
that's it then, so.